Okay,
So,
let's get started.
why don't we all take like a deep collective breath to bring our energies into this room, to ground ourselves just really quickly into this place, because I know we've all had to deal with LA traffic, getting in here, finding parking. It's a beautiful day, making sure you were one of the first 75 here so that you could get your gift bag. Bien hecho. Gift bags are nice. So let's just take a really quick little grounding breath. ¿Me acompañan? ¿Nos acompañan? Una, dos, tres. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing your whole selves, every single part of you. We acknowledge it and we welcome it into this space. You always have a space with us where you belong.
Yay.
So let's kick this off.
Yay. I'm gonna back up so that we can introduce Stephanie. Get out the shot.
No, we're like doing this. So, as I said, we have an incredible partner in crime in Capital One. Her name is Stephanie Simpson, and I will cede the stage to her so you can welcome us in.
Well, first of all, can I just start off by welcoming you to our inaugural Amigas in Business Boot Camp. Yeah, that's right. And can I also say, I want to celebrate you in this moment for being bold and taking a chance on yourself and believing in yourself and believing in your ideas. So can you just give yourselves a round of applause for taking this time today? You know, when I look around this room, I cannot help but smile at the level of jefas we have in this room, the boldness you're bringing to this room, the authenticity, the joy you are radiating into this room. So thank you for letting us be a part of your entrepreneurial journey. You really do make this room brighter and better just by being here. So thank you for letting us be a part of this journey with you. And I really want to welcome you to the cafe space beyond today. This cafe was built with communities like you in mind. Capital One cafes are an excellent resource as you're starting, as you're scaling your business. Come work here, meet with your potential partners here, come dream here. This is a free community space that really is meant for you to utilize. So use this resource as you're getting your business started. But I'll just leave you with, at Capital One, we really believe in celebrating Latina women's achievements, your dreams, your goals, and all the contributions that you are bringing to our community. So thank you for paving the way and setting yourself as an entrepreneur, paving the way for yourself and for future generations of Latina business owners. So again, I just want to welcome you. Thank you for letting us be a part of your journey. We cannot wait to see what is next for you. So with that, we're going to kick off our Amigas in Business Boot Camp.
Gracias. Thank you, Stephanie.
Ay, Dios mío. Those
Okay.
steps.
So we get the honor and privilege of kicking it off.
We're
Oh,
just
look,
gonna have
that's
a
us.
conversation. I know.
so-
My hair looks so cute there.
So this is probably, if you're part of our space, you know that we really are not very traditional in the way that we do things. And that's part of, I want to say, the Wheel Grow magic, right? That we really we're very intentional about always listening to our community and to the communities, and always listening and growing and allowing our business to be fluid enough to grow and pivot and flow to where the needs of the community are at different times. And in that sense, I think we really are creating a very different business model that doesn't really fit into many traditional spaces. And I think, I feel that it's not only us that feel this way, but I want to guess that most of you, as founders, as entrepreneurs, feel that you have to, in a way, sort of explain yourself, or that you read the traditional books and the bookshelves, the business books, and you're like, cool, but it doesn't completely speak to me, it doesn't completely say, but it's really hard to understand, or at least I went through, now it's the 12th year of We All Grow, of understanding, or even me being at peace in my own skin in the way that I was doing things, because I always felt like there was something I didn't know, that I didn't have the MBA, that I wasn't in the boys club. And every time I was like, oh, I should join the boys club, I was like, ay, no, pero que flojera. Like, I don't want to show up in that space. I don't feel like me. And it took a while to feel comfortable in my skin as an entrepreneur. And I decided to just reframe it and call myself a soul-centered entrepreneur. I had to find a label that fit me. And then I had to attract the right people to also want to grow a business that is centered in that way, and that is where Vanessa came in. And that is where we, last year, came up with this session that we call a soul-centered entrepreneurship mindset. And that is what we would love to share with you today, if you're good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Awesome. Love
Okay.
it. Okay. Next slide, please. We're going to be a little ghetto. We don't have a clicker. I lost the clicker. Okay. So we're just going to say next slide. That's you.
All right, so I am a community builder and soul-centered entrepreneur at heart. As you know, I'm the founder of Ancosia Wheel Girl Latina, and I say I am living my passion doing this. I definitely am, and we've been connecting and feeling the power of Latinas and Femme Latinas since 2010. And I know, like, Silvia right here was when this company was Latina Bloggers Connect. Levanta la mano, Silvia, Mamá Latina Tips. She was one of the first, I think, 10 people to sign up when I launched that. It was originally called Latina Bloggers Connect. We were the very first network connecting Latina bloggers with brands. You now know that as influencer marketing, but guess what? In 2010, not even Instagram existed. It was bloggers. And obviously, it has evolved and pivoted into the beautiful sisterhood and community of Latinas with an entrepreneurial spirit, what it is today. Boring stuff. And I was born in Houston. Mis padres son de El Salvador. For those of you that don't know, mi Salvi's in the house. I grew up in El Salvador. My mom is still there. My family, I was just there a few weeks ago. And I now live here for the last 17 years. My daughter's now 15. And I think it's the longest place I've ever lived in one spot in my whole life. So I'm going to say I'm Angelina now, kind of.
Meanwhile, I feel like I live everywhere in the United States these days. So next slide. That's me. As Anna said, I don't take myself too seriously because, you know, our spirit inhabited this skin, and I really do.
We're not
believe-
allowing her to curse today.
And I'm not allowed to curse. Did I?
No, you're
No?
not.
Oh.
I'm just wondering, like, if she all of a sudden is like,
I was told I can't curse. I was also told a lot of things growing up. I was also told that I needed to fit in, that I needed to look a certain way, be a certain type of Latina, not be a certain type of Latina, be a certain type of executive. And that's what really created a lot of anxiety in my life, and always feeling less than, because when you have ADHD or you have any of these other symptoms, people like to classify you a certain way because so that you could be palatable to them. And in corporate America, I just never felt seen and heard. And so within those environments, the overachiever in me just thought, if I get another title, another title, another title. And then when you become the first ever executive Latina for a global Fortune 500 company, when you have patents under your name, it feels very isolating, especially when you're consistently having to watch your back for the people that are not out there supporting you. And it becomes an incredibly isolating environment. And I always knew I just didn't fit in those environments. And so I started to call myself a soul-led executive, which is very interesting. And it wasn't until I attended Summit in 2019, Solita, I was just like, I'm gonna take a chance on myself. I'm gonna do something different. I was also just really tired of those traditional corporate conferences. I know many of you have been to those, son la misma cosa. They give you the same bland food, the same caterers. They don't have beautiful Evelyn dressing this up. You know what I mean? We don't have amazing Rachel taking photography. They definitely don't have the We All Girl team, and they definitely don't have Anna. And so I knew that, I was like, no, this place is not for me. But when I went to Summit in 2019, and I walked into an environment of other Latinas and other women of color that truly wanted to see me succeed, it was a shock. Because you're in these environments, in your careers, in your 9-to-5s, where you have to overachieve. You need to have certain level of excellency, that there's no room for error. And then on top of that, they make you feel like you need to compete. And I knew that I wanted to be an environment where I can help us all get there together. And so after Summit of 2019, I remember saying, oh my God, my life is not going to be the same. I went back to my corporate job and I said, oh my God, we need to change so many things. We need to do this, we need to do that. All of which they said no to. And then I had to have a come moment to myself, went to the desert, decided to quit, decided to meditate and manifest when Anna actually called me. And that morning, I turned down 2 really big executive level jobs that to anybody would have been perfect for LinkedIn. But I'm like, I'm going to live my life for LinkedIn so it could look good on LinkedIn. The Dominican and Ecuadorian in me, I was like, esa vaina doesn't make sense. So I don't know if we have any Caribeñas here, South Americans here, but that doesn't make sense. And I knew my ancestors prayed for me so I could do more than just clock in 9 to 5. And I wanted something more than that. And so then I had the privilege and the opportunity to join Anna, and we all grow, and now we're both soul-led leaders, soul-led founders, soul-led Latinas, soul-led humans that are trying to just create a purpose, bridge gaps, and bring you all together so that together we could build social and economic power. I have 2 French bulldogs, and I currently live in between Los Angeles, Miami, New York, and Nashville. So, thank you. I'm couch surfing, so if you have a couch, okay.
Next. Yeah, and the other side of that story when she mentions, and Anna called me, right? Obviously, there's a whole other universe on the other side of where that happened. And this was 2021. We had just survived on our end the pandemic. It was a very, very tough moment for We All Grow. We All Grow Summit was in 2020. And this was our biggest bet, our biggest risk ever. And I mention this because as founders, we know that we have to have a huge risk aversion mentality and spirit. Right? We're always constantly taking risks. From the moment we create our LLC or an S corp, whatever, you're already setting a foundation for your business that is tied to your livelihood, that is tied to so many other things. But because you believe in yourself so much, right, that is the part that's a soul-centered part. Is that passion, is that knowing of this is what I need to do, and I'm going to do it against all odds. Anything in life is a risk, right? For us, that moment was definitely the Summit 2020. We decided to double it in size because we were selling out within hours, like 2 hours. So we're like, we have to double it. That is, as it is, the Summit is not really a profit-making machine. It seems like it, but it's not. It's a very complicated business model. Let's put it that way. So we had to double in size, which meant, convincing partners to invest more, which meant increasing ticket prices. We still, it was sold out everything. It was 1,000 people, a bigger space, bigger investment, et cetera, et cetera. It got canceled a month before because of the pandemic. And our biggest issue was, what kept me up at night was that we had over $200,000 in ticket sales that needed to be refunded when everything had been canceled. And that was what our business was about. That was one of the moments when, we're going to go into that. That was one of the moments when definitely I had to dig deep into that part of me that was, I can either close this now and actually probably financially be off better myself, starting coaching, consulting, et cetera, or figure out how to move this ship, right, and have it safely land somewhere. So it was a process of, we're not going to dive into that because that's a whole session, but of a year of really bringing in new partners, brought in Pat Arvielo within a year of getting the loan from the SBA that allowed us to pay. The community also rallied and making sure that the ones that needed the refund quicker were the first ones to get it. Some transferred their tickets, et cetera. We got very creative on what we could do. But that was a whole process afterwards of also just reframing with the team, pivoting, right, to the new business model that didn't depend on those events, but that actually could scale the digital portion of it, while at the same time continuing to provide the resources that our community needed from us more than ever, right? The connection, the just getting together and being able to mastermind, the tú puedes, we're gonna get through this, et cetera. So after a point, I knew that we had gotten through that hill, and that we all grow as a business was never going to be the same. That we needed to definitely take another big push and a big risk to take it forward. As a CEO, our job is also to recognize where our skill set always lies, right? In the beginning, we wear all the freaking hats, todos, right? We are accounting, we're legal.
Customer service.
We are. But that's why we have Vanessa and Taylor today to help us see that. There's people out there can help us. But we're customer service, we're copywriting, we do it all. Right? But when you start to grow, part of it is recognizing where that need to hustle and to make sure that, when you need to start taking those risks and make those decisions, to start investing, right, in bringing in the right people, the right partners, and what does that model look like? It is a partner, is it equity build? Is it a consultant? Is it contractors? Is it what is going to work the best for the moment where you're at for the business to go and to continue to scale? At that moment, I had a solid team, but I knew I needed somebody that could match my level of skill set as a CEO to be able to look at the company casting a wider net, to be able to strategize, to be a visionary, but that would also be a doer, right? Because we're not the CEOs that just
No.
so, we do all the time.
Those decals, I put them there myself last night.
We're down there all the time, but that also matched the heart, the passion, the soul, because that's something that you can't teach and something that you can't transfer over, right? And her name kept coming up to me all the time because she had been checking in on me. Well, she was in her job, in corporate job, and she would be checking in on me like, hey, how are you doing? I know that it's tough right now, et cetera, blah, blah. And we would get into conversations, and it was just something that her name kept coming, and it was literally a voice that I would hear that was like, just call her. I'm like, no, I'm sure she's getting 1 million job offers right now. I cannot offer her the salary that she makes. I currently make half of what she used to make, it's not that's not the type of business we have. I just can't offer that to her. But something said, no importa, just ask. Who has a hard time asking?
Oh, wow.
It's the toughest thing in the world. Gracias, I'm not alone. Thank you for not making me feel. It's really hard to ask because la podemos toda, right? And I was like, and the first I call her, I'm like, listen, you can say no. I'm about to ask you something really crazy. It's super crazy, so just say no. It's fine. I won't be hurt. And it's I hadn't even finished the sentence when she's like, yes. I'm like, no. I'm like, you need to sit on this. I think
no.
You don't understand what I'm saying. I can't pay you a salary this. Is it we came up with the whole model that worked, right? Pero if I wouldn't have listened to that persistent voice and kept brushing it away because it was too crazy, it was too far out there, it put me in a vulnerable space to have to tell her hey, I value your expertise and your knowledge and your career and everything, and I have this little business over here that I think you would be awesome for, but I don't want I felt like she could say ¿Qué te crees? This is who I am. Haven't you seen my LinkedIn? Hello. I don't think I've told you all of this, right?
No. Because I was just so happy that I, for once in my life, sat with myself to hear my own thoughts and not listen to what anyone else expected of me, not my parents, not even my ancestors, not the traumas, not my friends, not my environment, not my circumstances. I went to the desert and I was literally meditating okay, if I can design my dream career, what would it be like? And We All Grow kept popping up. I'm like, pero that already exists. I was like, there's no way I'm going to create that from scratch. What this woman has built, there's no way. And I was like, you know what? If it was meant to be, it would have meant to be. What I will continue to do is, which I was doing and I have a love for, is just coaching other women of color and just Latinas and helping them build wealth. And I was like, okay, bueno, si va a pasar, si Diosito quiere, bueno, vaya con Dios, this idea, we will figure it out. And I put my phone down. I got off the phone with a very big company that was offering me what would have looked fantastic on LinkedIn, right? It would have put me on all those covers of Latina C-suite. That never happens. And es que algo no se sintió bien. Something was just like, this is not right. I'm trading another title for another title just for money. So I'm telling the universe that I'm just worth this. And I know I'm much more than that because my essence, my being is more than just a dollar amount. In this corporate world, I'm going to make these people money. Thank you. Thank you. And then she called, and I was just like, oh.
Yo creo que si lo dices en español no cuenta.
Okay.
Sorry. ¿Sí cuenta?
I tried my best. De nuevo. And I saw her name, y te juro por Dios, she just said, I have a wild idea. And I was like, yes. But we still have this dynamic, right? Because she'll have a wild idea, and I say yes.
The team knows. I'll go like, hey, sorry, I have this idea. Okay. No, and really, this is a boot camp. You are going to get very practical
Yes.
advice and tips.
That's why we have
But
Taylor. That's why we have
yeah.
Vanessa.
But we wanted to start with this because we know there's more to that. And at the end of the day, what sustains any business is you.
Yeah.
And you have to be nurtured, and you have to have a solid sisterhood around you, and you need to be told every single day that what you're doing matters, is valuable, and that listening to yourself and listening to your intuition while taking in data around you and recognizing where that data is coming from and who it's coming from, you take it all in, but at the end of the day, you have to trust that what you know to be true, you have to go for it. You have to give yourself a chance. You have to give your voice a chance. And then, right, then you'll start getting the evidence that will take you to the next chance, to the next decision, to the next risk taking. And it's okay to have a no, right, because that just informs you. That just continues to inform you. So we wanted to kind of start, that's why we do this session to, kind of like ground you in that spirit and ground you in that essence that you're all doing exactly what you need to be doing at this point of your businesses, or in that idea, that dream that will become a business.
Yeah. And with that dream is what we do really good, and I'm learning this through my own self-healing journey, is we do a really good job at funding other people's dreams, of putting money in other people's pockets, of going to all the tienditas and spending all the dollars, right? So we hold a lot of purchasing power, but sometimes we forget to put those dollars inwards, and we don't justify the investment in ourselves because tenemos pena, or we don't ask for help, or we just have to start justifying all these things when at the end of the day, if we decided, honestly, si hoy en día, if we decided, that's it, I'm not going to go to the Sephoras y todo esto, and I'm not going to go spending money, the economy will collapse. Right? It is what it is. So we know that we have spending power. So now let's use that energy for ourselves and for our own community so we can continue to rewrite the narratives of what it means to be Latina in this country. And because Latinas equal dinero.
Latinas equal dinero.
Period. Next
I
slide.
know.
Oh, this one. Oh my God. Okay, so our ancestors prayed for us, and you know that. And they didn't do this so that we could be behind a cubicle, staring at a screen 12 hours a day, right? Y'all feel what that means, which is why many of you, most of you, are entrepreneurs. Anna felt that dream, and she built and moved mountains when she was in entertainment and production. I built and moved mountains when I was in tech and in finance. But we also understood that we had a greater purpose, just like each one of you here know that you have a much greater purpose, bigger than you. My goal and my desire for every single one of us is that the future generations pray to us as the ancestors and are grateful for the roads that we've created for them. And that's what we're here to do, is to help ground you, to support you, to remind you that it is capable. And what you're going to learn from Taylor and from Vanessa on how to set up your business, how to structure it, is combined with the soul and the passion that we discuss, because it is possible. Absolutely. We're funding and supporting businesses from all these other people, making them billionaires. We can be billionaires too.
Well, and the beauty to add to that is also, if you are in a corporate job, right, there's the entrepreneur model, right? Everything that you're learning and applying here, you can go and apply it. Vanessa did her best to try to apply it in the company where she was working on, right? She moved with a passion. She saw it. She wasn't able to see it manifested at the time she was there, but I'm sure you left those seeds planted.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So that is in everything, how we're moving throughout, how can we, from the seats and the places of power that we hold, even when we think that we don't hold that power, right? What Vanessa was saying right now, Latinas y con Dinero, that wallet that every time you go and you make a choice of where you're going to spend your money, look at it and say, this is power. Right? This is power, that dollar. Where am I applying that dollar? If we're applying that dollar right now, that the Capital One team, gave them a list of Latina vendors to work with today to hire, and they chose Tatiana with Andrea's Healthy Kitchen. That's power, right? Where do you, and wherever you're sitting, wherever the doors around you that you're able to open, that's either, it doesn't have to be being an angel investor and funding a business, right? That power can manifest in so many ways.
Yep. And so with that power, learn to invest in yourself, but also trusting your soul to make decisions that are actually going to pay off. Every single time we go against ourselves, es caos. Every single time. And we can paint it as pretty as we want. We can change the desktop, cambiar the wallpaper, but at the end of the day, something doesn't feel right in here, plain and simple. So learn to leverage your intuition, which is something that Anna has taught me to do, because I came from the corporate conditioning of using my analytical brain. And it's not all quantitative. Sometimes qualitative has a lot more power in helping you make business decisions. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't feel good to you, ¿qué importa? It's your business. It's your name. It's your reputation. And you have to be comfortable with the thoughts in your head when you go to sleep. So make sure that the decisions you make feel good to you.
Sorry, I need to... No, keep going.
Oh, okay. I'm like, okay, what, am I missing something? Okay, go. No, next slide, please. So we decided to play by our own rules so that we could create a thriving and big business. We are a self-funded, privately owned, multi-million-dollar business, but we do not get the amount of credit. Why? Porque somos latinas, and they think, oh, mira qué lindas ahí en su vestidito, sus zapatos, just throwing fiestas and conferences. They have no idea what it takes to create this. Many of you know, you're in event spaces. Many of you are product owners, designers, creators. It is hard work. It looks pretty because we make it look pretty on Instagram, but it's hard work. Exactly. Evelyn barely sleeps. But we decided to just rewrite the narrative because we want to really change and create what a new model looks like for entrepreneurship, especially for Latina entrepreneurship and what's possible. And so we're playing by our own rules, plain and simple.
We only have 5 more minutes.
Oh, bueno, next
No,
slide.
nos
'cause it's a
relajamos
prompt.
demasiado.
Bueno, we want to conclude with 2 things. One is honoring your vision.
So honoring your vision. I love to talk about this, right? But just the part honoring, because we oftentimes relegate how we define ourselves and how we feel about ourselves and how we validate our own dreams and our own vision to what others tell us, right? We allow others to tell us, our family members, our friends, our business partners, not our business partner, our partner, anybody around us, like, ¿tú qué crees? Do you think this is going to work? Is this a bad idea? Like, we're looking for that validation externally all of the time. But what happens when we do that is that we're allowing people with their own fears, their own perspectives, right, their own perceptions to filter into our most vulnerable moment of manifestation, of saying, I have this idea, I see it. Know that nobody is going to be able to see it and feel it. Because it's not only something you see, you feel it, no? It's like when you get that tingly feeling, it's like, that's such a good idea. And then you start diluting it. Ay, pero so-and-so is already doing it. I know, pero that's going to be so hard. I know I'm not, And then you ask somebody, and then they dilute it more for you, and et cetera, right? So what can we do to get into the practice of honoring our vision? And now I have to wrap it up. So again, we've been talking about this a lot. Intuition is everything. Turn it on. Dance with fear and welcome risks, right? Like, dance with it, make it fun. And fear, because that fear that you're getting in that moment, right, again, it's just a risk aversion. It's a risk aversion because definitely our family and our friends love us, and they think they're giving us the best advice that's going to protect us, but it's just protecting their own fears. Take baby steps. It's always going to look very big, right? And probably the rest of the sessions today are going to be like, oh my God, the LLC, the S Corp, like it looks big. But they're going to help you break it down into what are the next baby steps? What are the next baby steps to take my business, wherever level your business is at? If it's a dream, if it's, you just started it, if it's already funded, if you're, whatever stage of growth you're at, there's always that next step that looks very big, that looks like a big mountain. Break it down to just what is that next little step that's gonna get me there? And keep looking back and honor and celebrate the steps that you already took. Get out of your own way as you do that, right? And by get out of your own way is get out of that hustle mindset, that mindset of lack that has kept us thinking that we're not worthy, that a lot of that are voices that don't even belong to us. Most of that are voices that don't belong to us.
We are our harshest critic. And y'all know that y'all are your own harshest critic. When you look in the mirror, right, the inner you is the actual enemy, it's not anybody else. And so getting out of your own way also means that no importa when you first launch, you're not making $100 or $10,000. That doesn't matter, right? Do not tie your worth and your success to the numerics and to the numerics of other rulers that were not created for us anyway.
We're not created for us, and that's why we're creating our own rules. And create also a sacred container for your vision and for your rules. What does that look like, right? This is a sacred container right here. We couldn't have these conversations just like that anywhere else. We're having this conversation in a sacred container that we have worked so hard to create, that we do for our team, that we do for our events, that we do for our amigahood. That is our sacred container where we have set, right, what we want to make sure that how our vision continues living, and what we know. We are the ones, we know we're the cohort, right? That Latina entrepreneurs are the ones creating the most businesses than any other group in the country. That means that we also have a huge responsibility of what that next stage of business looks like, right? And we can mold it to our vision. We can make it work for us. No matter how big or how small your business is, whatever you think it is, every person, again, every decision that you make is going to be helping you set that stage for what you want that business to look like and what you want that role model to become for the businesses coming after you, and et cetera, and the doors that you're going to continue opening. And they're going crazy over there wrapping us up, so we're going to respect the run of show.
We run a tight ship.
And we run a really tight
Nos
ship.
vamos.
So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for
Thank
being
you.
here. And we're going to be hanging out here all day, so we're happy to talk.